after the failure of Snow White due to Disney CEO Bob Iger and Rachel Zegler involves more to do with how Bob Iger was recently punished in the most unexpected way possible after the box office nightmare for Disney.
The Disney empire is crumbling right before our eyes in what might be the most shocking Hollywood meltdown we've seen in years. Bob Iger, the guy everyone thought was Disney's savior, is now facing a full-on revolt from his own board after the massive Snow White failure. The entire situation has turned into the biggest leadership crisis Disney has experienced in decades. What's happening behind closed doors is way more explosive than anything you're seeing in the headlines.
What they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you, that hates everything America stands for.
The power struggle has reached a breaking point, and the fallout is about to change Disney forever. Industry insiders describe the atmosphere at Disney headquarters as apocalyptic, with executives scrambling to protect their positions. When Snow White barely scraped together $160 million worldwide against a massive $200+ million budget, Disney executives started panicking. This wasn't just a disappointment, it was a straight-up disaster for what was supposed to be a major Disney release. But listen to this. At the exact same time, Minecraft came out of nowhere and absolutely demolished it with over $300 million in its opening weekend alone. Just think about that. A movie based on a video game crushed Disney's Princess remake. The gaming adaptation had modest expectations, but connected with audiences in a way that Snow White completely failed to do.
A company like Disney so up against it. Why? Because it doubled down on DEI.
The contrast was so embarrassing that Disney stockholders immediately started freaking out, with share prices taking a huge hit as everyone questioned if Disney had completely lost touch with what audiences actually want. The story behind Snow White's failure is way crazier than most people realize. Inside sources reveal the film went through 3 separate rounds of expensive reshoots, with 2 of those alone burning through tens of millions in extra cash. The production schedule stretched nearly 6 months longer than originally planned. The drama surrounding Rachel Zegler created a PR nightmare that just kept getting worse. What started as a few eyebrow-raising comments about the original Snow White story quickly snowballed into something Disney couldn't control. Fans started getting seriously worried the remake was throwing away everything that made the original special. Leaked internal communications show Disney executives were aware of the brewing controversy, but severely underestimated how much it would impact the film's reception. Marketing focus groups apparently raised red flags months before release, with test audiences expressing confusion about the film's tone. The situation reached full meltdown during what was supposed to be a routine appearance on The View.
And I think Snow White has become the pinnacle of this. You know, this is going to go down in history as an asterisk next to Rachel Zegler's name, Rachel Zegler.
Disney's PR team had prepared everything to calm the growing backlash, but what happened instead was absolute chaos. Several pages of carefully crafted talking points were completely abandoned within minutes. Zegler allegedly went off script, doubling down on controversial statements that just poured gasoline on the fire. Things got so heated that Disney representatives reportedly tried to step in during the middle of the broadcast. One producer described the atmosphere in the control room as total panic. The whole segment fell apart, with Zegler supposedly being escorted off stage while the hosts scrambled to fill airtime. Within hours, clips of the awkward disaster were exploding across social media, turning what was meant to be positive promotion into viral proof that the project was in serious trouble. The behind-the-scenes drama was just as intense. Inside sources claim the tension between Zegler and co-star Gal Gadot got so bad during the final reshoot phase that they couldn't even film scenes together. Their parts had to be shot separately and stitched together in editing, adding significant costs to an already troubled production. One executive called it the most toxic set environment they'd seen in 25 years of making movies. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck that Iger apparently ignored for almost 2.5 years. Multiple crew members reportedly left the production due to the hostile atmosphere. The creative differences weren't limited to the actors.
And then what do you know? They try all this updating. They get this lousy screenwriter, in my estimation, because I saw this thing and it was awful, like really, really, really bad.
The director reportedly clashed repeatedly with Disney executives about the film's direction, with entire storylines being reworked multiple times throughout production. Here's where things take a wild turn. During an emergency board meeting called to deal with the Snow White crisis, Iger made a desperate power grab that completely backfired. Multiple sources at the meeting say he actually proposed extending his time as CEO until 2028, a full 2 years beyond when he was supposed to step down in 2026. and he suggested freezing the live-action Tangled remake and pitched remaking Snow White with zero agendas to basically erase the failure that happened under his own leadership. Iger allegedly presented this plan as a solution to Disney's current problems, promising he could personally oversee a redemption arc for the company. This move shocked many in the room, as Iger had previously been adamant about his 2026 departure date. Board members exchanged concerned glances as Iger outlined his proposal, with several immediately expressing skepticism about essentially pretending the original Snow White remake never happened. The board has completely lost faith in Iger. About 80% of board members immediately shot down his proposal, with some reportedly calling the suggestion delusional given Disney's current situation. Several voiced concerns that Iger seemed disconnected from the reality of Disney's position in the market.
And there was no tension, there was no drama, there was like nothing in that set. All it was an empty movie.
Instead of extending his contract, they're now actively trying to push him out faster, with sources saying they want him gone by the end of 2025 or early 2026 at the latest. This is a complete 180-degree turn for an executive who used to be considered untouchable at Disney. Corporate governance experts note that such overwhelming board opposition to a CEO of Iger's stature is almost unprecedented in major entertainment companies. The speed with which the board united against him suggests concerns had been building long before the Snow White disaster. Iger had spent months publicly promising to step down in 2026, only to flip the script completely when Snow White bombed. It's super similar to what Kathleen Kennedy tried to pull at Lucasfilm, holding on to power while waiting for one last win with the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But the board has clearly run out of patience with Iger's leadership. They're already interviewing replacements who can turn Disney's reputation around without driving away their core audience. The search committee has reportedly established firm criteria that focus on reconnecting Disney with its traditional strengths. The situation gets even worse when you look behind the boardroom drama. Major shareholders are abandoning ship at a scary rate, with 3 of Disney's biggest institutional investors, Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock, reportedly selling off large chunks of their Disney holdings. This is happening while Disney Plus is hemorrhaging subscribers after price hikes and content strategy changes that viewers clearly aren't happy about. Quarterly reports indicate subscriber losses in the millions, with customer surveys showing growing dissatisfaction. Financial experts point out that Disney's stock is now performing way worse than Universal, Warner Bros., and Paramount, something that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago when Disney dominated everything.
So Disney is another company that's been in hot water. They've been in a downward spiral.
The Snow White failure didn't happen in isolation. It came right after The Acolyte, which many consider one of the biggest Star Wars failures ever, both with critics and viewers. Viewership data shows The Acolyte experienced some of the steepest episode-to-episode drop-offs ever recorded for a Star Wars property. These back-to-back disasters with 2 of Disney's most valuable franchises have created what insiders are calling a crisis of confidence throughout the entire company. With the FCC now investigating Disney's business practices too, the pressure is coming from literally every direction possible. Industry analysts point out that failing with both Star Wars and princess content in such rapid succession strikes at the very heart of Disney's brand identity. These aren't just any properties, they represent cornerstone franchises that Disney has built much of its modern business around. Inside Disney's offices, employees describe a total culture of fear where creative decisions are constantly second-guessed and executives are frozen with confusion about what direction will keep them employed. Behind the scenes, Disney has turned into a battlefield of finger-pointing and blame-shifting. Internal emails show executives desperately trying to distance themselves from recent failures, especially Snow White. Creative teams are completely lost as projects get suddenly paused or canceled without clear explanation, while many films and shows already in development have reportedly been sent back for rewrites. Morale has hit an all-time low, with many talented creators reportedly looking for exits to other studios. The uncertainty is affecting everything from theme park designs to merchandise planning, creating a cascading effect throughout Disney's interconnected business model. Social media has become absolutely brutal for Disney, with fans creating viral videos highlighting how far the company's quality has fallen. Longtime Disney lovers are openly saying they're done with Disney.
When people say woke, what they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you, that hates everything America stands for.
Claiming the studio has lost the magic that made it special in the first place. The hashtag Disney Falling has been trending repeatedly, creating yet another PR disaster that's only making the internal chaos worse. Sentiment analysis shows Disney's brand perception has dropped dramatically among its core family audience, with many parents expressing concerns about the direction of content aimed at children. The most revealing part of this whole situation: the board's requirements for Iger's replacement tell us everything. 3 candidates are reportedly already being considered, though their names are being kept secret. Surprisingly, sources say the board isn't completely abandoning Disney's diversity initiatives, but they want someone who can handle them in what one board member described as a more subtle and audience-friendly way. The board believes Iger's approach made the messaging way too obvious and drove away core audiences, especially families who have always been Disney's bread and butter. Their plan is to have Iger out by November or December, allowing a new leader to start fresh in 2026. This timeline would coincide with Disney's centennial celebrations, giving the new CEO a symbolic fresh start at a historically significant moment for the company. Wall Street is getting seriously nervous about Disney's problems. Major shareholders are demanding immediate action, with several threatening to pull out completely if leadership doesn't change by the next financial report.
Right, we're talking about ultra-far leftists, people who believe that men and women are a figment of your imagination, that your money is not your own, that your family is not your own, and that your country is not your own. That's what woke means.
Analysts are predicting potential stock drops that could wipe billions from Disney's value if the current trends continue. Iger, once celebrated as Disney's financial genius, now faces leaving with the company in worse shape than when he returned from retirement. Sources close to Iger say he's completely obsessed with protecting his legacy and can't stand the thought of leaving Disney in its current state. He's reportedly going down with the ship and frantically trying to change the board's mind. Industry insiders have started calling him Bob Iger the Smoother because of how he tries to paint a happier picture in interviews, claiming there's no agenda in films like Snow White and dismissing critics. But these attempts aren't working as the board moves forward with their plans to replace him. The Disney drama unfolding right now will determine not just Iger's legacy, but potentially how the entire entertainment industry moves forward. The lessons from this massive failure are already influencing decisions throughout Hollywood, with other studios reevaluating their remake strategies. Can Disney get back the magic that once made everyone else in Hollywood jealous? Or has the Snow White disaster exposed fundamental problems in their approach that will take years to fix? Either way, the fairy tale ending Bob Iger wanted for his career has turned into something much darker, proving that even at Disney, not every story ends happily ever after. What do you think about Disney's future under new leadership? Was Bob Iger responsible for the company's decline, or are there bigger forces at play in the entertainment world? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more behind-the-scenes insights you won't find anywhere else. This Disney drama is far from over, and you definitely don't want to miss what happens next.